Hello and welcome to our pondering time on World War II from 1939 to 1945. Please like and subscribe. Nanu Nanu. Welcome back. This is Nobly.
And this is Murphy.
Today we're going to talk about World War II and we're going to open up with D-Day.
The Normandy landings were the landing operations and associated airborne operations on June 6, 1944, of the Allied invasion of Normandy in Operation Overlord during World War II. Codenamed Operation Neptune and often referred to as D-Day, it was the largest seaborne invasion in history.
Well, there you go. On June 6, 1944, Churchill and all them good people stormed it. They made so many movies of it. Hamburger Hill. We can go on. That was a big turning point, and that was the last time America really stood behind their soldiers. So, what do you think about the whole D-Day? Was it worth the killing, even though it was the turning point of the war, or what? Or should they have gone at it a different way?
I think they should have gone at it a different way.
They were kind of they were dug in knee deep.
I know.
We had like three to times one to one power, like every three guy they had one guy,
Right.
and we still basically got a butt kick. We won, but we basically got a butt kick. Yeah, I think they could have done it a lot.
We lost a lot of people.
Yeah, they could have done it a lot better, but it wasn't something that we needed a morale boost. It was something that was needed, and it was the turning point of the war, because up until then, we were getting our butt kicked.
Right. Well, there's always those pros and cons. You know what I mean? To everything.
Yeah.
So,
But what I always wanted to know, I understood what happened from there on out, but why was it so important to take that one spot? There's always speculations and what people say, but what was the real reason behind it?
only the government knows that.
Well, no, I think it was because that was their strong point. I think they wanted to show Hitler and their allies that no matter how strong you think you are, you can't overcome our will.
We're still stronger.
Our will is strong. Yeah. You may have us better in technology, understanding,
right,
and all this other stuff, but you can't beat us in the will.
You can't take our will.
Yeah, there's a lot of things they said was strategically this, strategically that. Other conspiracy theories said it was because of this or that. But the bottom line was they wanted to show their willpower, and that's what they did that day.
And that's what it took, I guess. You know what I mean? For it to come to where it came to. And it finally coming to an end after all of it.
Well, I wasn't exactly there. It was a year later, but that was the turning point. That's when morale boosted up, and they basically the Allied forces felt unstoppable and was. Okay, the next little topic I like to hit since we started off on D-Day and that's close to the end was Operation Paperclip. Now, Operation Paperclip, including the Soviet Union Operation Baraska. I know I butchered it, but it is what it is.
I'm not even gonna try it.
Yeah. But go ahead and give a quick explanation of Operation Paperclip.
Okay, Operation Paperclip was a secret United States intelligence program in which more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians were taken from the former Nazi Germany to the U.S. for government employment after the end of the World War II in Europe between 45 and 59. Conducted by the Joint Intelligence Objectives Agency, JIOA.
Yep.
It was largely carried out by special agents of the U.S. Army Counterintelligence Corporation.
Yep, and they brought most of them to St. Louis, Philadelphia, and Texas. And and they hold so many patents. And von Braun, von Braun's like the biggest. He was an SS troop leader.
Yeah, hold on, I'm going to cut you off there for a second because it does say here many of the personnel were former members and some were former leaders of the Nazi Party.
Yes.
So,
Yes. And what's so important about, and what everyone keeps pointing out, Paperclip wasn't, what don't understand. Every single one of them changed their names, so it's hard to find out exactly who they are and who they were. A lot of the families now are running our politics, and that's where they get this so-called, where you can't find everything and all that other stuff.
right?
But here's the real thing about Hitler, Paperclip, von Braun, and Himmler. Hitler was a patsy. He was a fall guy. He was just a good speechhead. The real evil person was Himmler and all the science he was portraying. Hitler just wanted to study history, and they told him we'll take over the world so you can do what you want, basically. And he was like, okay, I'm dumb enough. But that's a whole nother story. So Himmler and the SS and everything they stood for came over to the U.S. And von Braun and all them other ones, they are basically made what we have today. Just about anything you could think of came from secret Nazi programs. Well, Smurfy?
Yeah. Sorry, I was doing a little bit of reading here to catch myself up on the paperclip because I only know bits and pieces.
Well, a lot of people know bits and pieces. They just know it was a bunch of scientists and they leave it at that. They don't tell you what type of scientists and what they were into. They were into genetics, mostly genetics, which leads into the real.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I remember you and I've sat down and talked about it before. About how Himmler had done all the different things to the children.
Yes, where
The
he would do sex changes. He would do what you call it, hormone treatments. He would take out. He did a whole stuff, bunch of stuff. He would like he would take people's arms off and stick them to electricity, see if the nervous system was to
right.
work and all this stuff. That's where we got a lot of the technology for limbs, to put on limbs with the computers and stuff. That all came from. I mean, some of the stuff was good, just how he went. Most of the concentration camps were to cover up his research he was doing.
Right, I believe that.
It's proven. You just got to actually read the CIA documents about it.
Because no, I definitely believe that they would take the prisoners and especially the children and
Experiment on them.
experiment on them. You know what I mean? So they bring them back to the camps. So you know they're already sick. They're already to that point anyway. They just throw them in there with a
The
group
concentration,
of people.
yeah, but the concentration camp was to cover up all the people Himmler was killing with his research, and of course they were doing the other things everyone knows about. But
Right.
most of the body count was him and his research. Wasn't necessarily him just saying, "Hey, you just go in there and die."
Right. No, I get what you mean.
You know what I'm saying? It was because they were dead already and they needed to cremate
Right,
him.
and they just
And because they didn't want no record of his research.
Right.
That's what most of the concentration camps were.
Yeah, the hiding what he has done.
Right,
The hiding
to cover up
all
what he
the
was.
other bodies.
And
that
if
we
they
don't
ever
know
got
about.
invaded, they already got a crematory. They could throw all the
Right.
documents in and everything
in,
else, and that.
no evidence of
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand that. I believe that. You know what I mean? It was Himmler.
Well, if
In the
you
long
you
run.
connect the dots, like I always say, man, you can't tell a lie without the truth. So you got to listen to everything and pick out the truth and throw away the lie and come somewhere in the middle to your own conclusion. So that's from reading everything, watching everything, and coming up with my own conclusions. And some people seem to agree on my behalf. Doesn't mean they're all the way right. Doesn't mean I'm all the way right either. You know, I'm always admit when I'm wrong. All right, we're gonna take a quick fiesta. Oh yeah, my yesta. Be back in a minute. Nano, nano.
Welcome to Spoonie's Quote of the Day for October 21st, 2022. Today's quote is by Dr. Seuss. Nana Nana, please like and subscribe. Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. By Dr. Seuss. Remember to smile and always have a great day. Nana Nana, Nana Nana, please like and subscribe.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We left off with Operation Paperclip. We're going to continue with it. And we're going to talk about some of the patents the scientists hold.
The few examples that I had found that I was able to find was being able to sterilize fruit juice without heat, the run-proof pantyhose, which I think is interesting. I didn't know that the German scientists came up with that. Thank you, German scientists, for that. Being able to churn butter at 1,500 pounds per hour, and producing yeast in unlimited quantities, as well as being able to pull wool from the sheep without harming the sheep's hides.
Right.
So,
in other words, our fast food age.
And it says the reduction of electrical components to the size of a pinky finger.
The microchips that everyone was talking about from Roswell. But we'll get there in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. It's things that, I never really took the time
This is what the Cold War was really about, was these scientists, amongst other things, though. That's how it started. It trickled over there, but it was all over these scientists, the Cold War. It wasn't about the nuclear. It was about the science, all the science. Nuclear science, fast food science, space science. It was just all about science. That's what the Cold War was. It was never about nuclear. No one was ever going to push the button. Nowadays,
you never know.
To be continued on that one. To be continued on that
one.
That's
definitely a whole different story.
Yeah, Soviet Union wasn't as crazy as they acted.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes
they didn't push the button. They didn't push. We pushed the button. They didn't push the button. Okay. That's enough.
Okay, touche. Touche. I got you.
All right, let's go to Operation Lusty.
Okay, Operation Lusty was the United States Air Force's effort to capture and evaluate German aeronautical technology during and after World War II. I about said cold because that's what you had just brought up.
Because it was during the beginning of the Cold War, which started right after World War II. And this started from 39 to 49 on record. No, who knows how long it really went. Right. It's also when they were stealing scientists, and then they made it official that they were bringing them over. The first 3-4 years, I think it was.
That was Truman. Yeah, that had to be Truman. So what do you know about Truman and the paperclip?
Okay, and it says here, in a secret directive circulated on September 3rd of 1946, President Truman officially approved Operation Paperclip and expanded it to include 1,000 German scientists under a temporary limited military custody. So, and then...
Anyway, those patents that they had, like I said, about to go into Roswell, a lot of people think it was aliens this, alien that. We're going back to Himmler and him transforming, basically. That's what he was doing, transforming humans, because he knew about the Van Allen belt, the radiation belt, and knew humans couldn't constantly go through it without hurting themselves. So he's trying to make humans able to withstand the radiation, and some of the pigment alterations he did made them gray, green, and these were children he was doing it. So think about the 3-foot
Roswell.
Yep.
The Roswell
going incident. Into the Vril and the Nazi Bell.
That's why they laugh about it. But if you look on Project Rise or Reese,
Yeah.
but you spell it's Rise, Rize is how you pronounce it, but it's Riece. This was the wonder weapon, which was the Nazi bell. It was never no laser bomb or anything. It was the anti-gravity that they discovered, that they found from ancient China with all that mercury in the temples, and then all the searches that they were doing for all the artifacts in the Bible and stuff.
And they were just able to figure out how it worked.
Well, they had a lot of smarts. They let them scientists do whatever they want, no limitations. That's going to let things advance.
Right.
You know, when you ain't got no limitations.
Okay.
Project Rise, what I was talking about. Watch Josh Gates' Expedition Unknown when he actually meets the guy that reads that paper from the Roswell. And it said either disc or rise. And when they said Rise, Project Operation Rise started clicking in my head.
I know your bells started going off.
Oh, I said it wrong.
Watched that episode and you're like, hello.
Yeah, all types
Wasn't
of.
I just talking about
all
this?
types of stuff, and then they took the craft right to Texas. That's where they took it. They all say this. They took it to Texas. And then you got to go back to the old UFO landing before the war in Texas, where they thought they found a alien. This is the beginning of the anti-gravity that the Nazis found during World War One.
And the more you talk about it, and the more, evidence that we see coming out, I'm starting to believe that, yes, that's exactly,
the anti-gravity.
Right, because it makes no other sense, honestly.
Well, I'm going to butcher.
At this point.
I'm going to butcher the Indian Bible, the Mahabharata. I'm going to butcher it. But in there it says, and Indian scientists today is using this book for their space program, that mercury and forms of it will produce floating material. I think that's the way they worded it. So that's basically anti-gravity.
Right. If you get mercury and something else that are gonna pretty much reflect
sound waves. It's
Okay.
sound waves. I believe it's mercury mixed with sound waves, and of course some other science to go with it to contain it, making it spin like the universe spin. This creates its own gravity field, which would be an anti-gravity to the normal gravity field. See, a lot of science sounds more far-fetched than it legitly is. So if you make your own gravity field, you're making anti-gravity. And science has a hard time explaining gravity. They know it's there, but they don't know why.
Right.
Well, basically everything has some type of mineral, like iron, some type of metal in it. Even the food you eat has some type of metal in it.
Bodies.
Especially our bodies. Gravity is the magnetic pull off of that. That's why everything will fall. And it's very certain things that are lighter than air, which has no metal, can float away.
Right.
And those are the type of propellants that you need to go faster than the speed of light, which has been proven. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. We're supposed to be on World War II right now.
Yes, we are. Okay, do we want to go up to the Operation Barbosa?
Yes, this is the Ruskies' start of why they wanted all the scientists. This is the battle why they wanted the scientists. But go ahead and explain it on the professional side.
Okay, Operation Barbosa was the invasion of the Soviet Union by Nazi Germany and many of its Axis allies,
Right.
starting on Sunday, the 22nd of June in 1941 during the Second World War.
Okay. Well, the reason that this is, they were using, it's like when they first started using tanks and they were using what thought was Greek fire. So the Russians were really curious how they understood this when they thought they had the best armored vehicles in the world at the time. So they started the KGB basically to kidnap these scientists to work on their side. And on that note, we're going to take a quick break. So have fun, take a smoke. Remember one thing, smile. Nano, nano. Nano, nano. Welcome to Spoonie's Moment in History, October 17th, 1941. Thank you, like and subscribe. On October 17th, 1941, USS Kearney CDD-423 Clevis-class destroyer torpedoed by a German U-boat. Laid down March 1st, 1939. Launched March 9th, 1940. Commissioned September 13th, 1940. Decommissioned March 7th, 1946. Stricken June 1st, 1971. Fate. Sold for scrap October 6th, 1972. After she was torpedoed and survived, she continued to serve in North Africa and the Mediterranean Sea. That's been your Nobley's Moment in History. Please like and subscribe and have a great day. Smile. Nano, nano. Nano, nano. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Well, in the break, Smurfy was further reading into it, and she can't understand for the life of her why is this connected to the...
Right. How is the Operation Barbarossa connected to Paperclip?
Okay. Read some more on it so people probably as dumbfounded as you are.
Okay. Because it says in here that the whole point behind the Operation Barbarossa was for Germany to go in and conquer the Soviet Union, the western part of the Soviet Union, and repopulate with Germans and just pillage the lands. So, how does that fit into, the paperclip? I'm not understanding.
I told you it goes back to the technology, right? Number one. Number two, it goes back to, they call it Redbeard, right?
Right.
And the Roman emperor Redbeard.
Yeah,
read that part.
He was give me 1 second. I
got connected dots.
It said the code name for this operation was Frederick Barbarossa, which was Redbeard, a 12th century Holy Roman Emperor and German king.
Right, the Holy Roman Emperor. The secrets of the Vatican is what Hitler was after. Okay. The technology. Told you Hitler believed everything in the Bible was technology. The Vatican understood technology, was keeping ancient technology.
Right.
So this battle, when they got that far, when they didn't think they could get that far, was when they decided to start taking the German scientists, start kidnapping them and making them work for the other side, which is what ended up turning the war.
Okay.
There's another thing that turned the war, because we all know that we get credit for winning the war, but really Russia.
It was the Soviets.
Yeah, the Soviets did the real heavy lifting,
Okay. No, and I can understand, that you gave me a little bit more information. Sorry, I get into reading the...
Yeah, you're still trying to... It's connecting, but you just can't see
right,
why it's connected. Because it had to do with World War II a lot. But remember, they want to repopulate it. And they believe the Aryans came from Antarctica. This goes to the Vril. Antarctica as well as Siberia.
Okay, yeah, because I had just seen something about in here, Siberia.
Right.
I hadn't read it yet. That
was part of the pillaging the land stuff. They talk about taking all the minerals and stuff out of Siberia. But they believe the ancient technology in the Bible was in the Soviet Union. So now they want the scientists to find out what they know and where is it at.
So this is why that operation plus paperclip was called the Cold War, to fight over which scientists they were going to get.
Which side was going to get which scientist?
Yeah, actually,
More or
no.
less.
The Soviets didn't want to give us any scientists, and we didn't want to give them any scientists.
Right.
So it was a war who could snatch them up the fastest.
Okay.
That's what the Cold War was about.
Okay. All right. I think I can follow that a little more.
And now you can understand why that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the reason they were
Definitely, because
invading the Russia.
it's gonna see who's gonna get wherever faster. They didn't want to give up. Okay, the U.S. already has these scientists. Soviets already got these scientists. Neither of them want to let any of them go because they want to see who's gonna get. They brought up space race in here, so I'm just gonna use that as an example. To
The
see
technology.
Who's gonna make it first?
Right, it's the technology. It was all about the technology. That's what the Germans were. They were looking for the technology. They want to take over the world to find the ancient technology. Listen to the Indian scientists nowadays about the ancient technology.
Right.
It's not necessarily ancient alien technology.
Right, but it's ancient. There is ancient technology out there that a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, it's not technology as we know it today.
Right.
Their form of technology more was a spiritual based technology, like using harmonics, mixing herbs and spices, and mixing metals, melting
Theirs
metals.
was more with the nature.
Yeah.
Because it's things you find in nature that.
And it counteracts the forces of nature.
Right.
They were more. We don't understand their science.
Right.
Their science is way more advanced than we give them credit for.
Very true.
Yeah. So
what we don't know, we can't understand. Can't understand it if we don't know anything about it.
Right. So World War II, what they tell you was fought over, and what really happened. But the real bottom line was all these countries fighting over what did Hitler know to start this war twice. Remember, they started it twice.
Right.
Hitler didn't start it the first time. But he didn't start it the second time. The same people that started it the first time started it the second time. They just had different leaders at the time. Patsy. I keep telling you, Patsy.
He was a Patsy. Patsy.
All right, so now we're going to run off to the Vril Society. You want to give a quick rundown of the Vril?
I'm going to let you do that. You know a little bit more.
The Vril Society is the so-called, where the CIA got the channeling or remote viewing idea from these ladies. There was 4 ladies. Her name, what name?
Maria.
No, Maria Osik. And she grew her hair as supposed to be an antenna all the way down to her feet. And these 4 women, and this is where they got the Nazi bell technology from. And if you go ahead and look it up, because they have real flying saucers with real graphics from this lady. I mean, with details where bolts go, where technology goes. You already heard about the patents about the miniature whatchamacallit, the microchips that everyone thought came from an aircraft of Roswell. It did come from Roswell, but it came from the Nazi scientists. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, it says on here about Marisa Orzik.
Go
ahead. That she was the first woman who originated and created Earth's first UFOs.
Yeah, Earth's first UFOs.
And it was, I don't know, it says she was born in 1895.
Yeah, she was supposed to be channeling the Atlanteans, the real Aryans, and all that stuff. So that's where the CIA got the understanding of channeling, was because Hitler believed it so much that he started a war over it. Things you could go down that rabbit hole yourself. That's a whole nother story. But the whole thing is, you got to look into the secret societies behind them and all the spin-offs to understand the mentality. So on that note, we're going to take here another little break after we talk about why Orsic was so important to Hitler. She was able to feed into his fear that he wasn't wanted. And
And on that note, we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome to Nobly's Moment in History on October 19th, 2022. Today's topic is World War I, the First Battle of Ypres. Please like and subscribe. The Battle of Ypres begins on October 19th, 1914 through November 22nd, 1914. Both sides had tried to advance after the northern flank had disappeared. The Franco-British advancing towards Delisle in October, followed by attacks by the VEF. Here's a quote by Sheldon on the battle. British and French artillery fired as rapidly as they knew how, and over every bush, hedge, and fragment of wall floated a thin film of smoke, betraying a machine gun rattling out of bullets. This has been Nobly's Moment in History. Thank you for tuning in. Nanu. Have a blessed day. Bye, everyone. Nanu. Welcome back.
Welcome back. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of history to start this section out on the Vril Society. So, the Vril Society was formed by a group of female psychic mediums, led by the Thol Society. Thol. I apologize, I will butcher more than one word. Okay, led by Maria Orsic of Zagreb, who had received communication from the Aryan aliens living on Alpha Centauri in the Aldebaran system. Allegedly, these aliens had visited Earth and settled in Samaria, and the world Vril was formed from the ancient Sumerian word Vril, like God or godlike. A second medium known as only Sigrun, a name related to Sigrun, a Valkyrie, and one of the Wutan's 9 daughters of Norse legend.
Not the Wu-Tang Clan. No, not Myth the Man. The ones that they follow, though.
Yes. Different Wu-Tang. But, I mean, it's interesting because it's something I never really looked into.
That was the start of the ancient alien theory, as we know it today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The ancient alien theory's been there forever. That's basically where Zachariah Sitchin found out about this by studying World War II, then went deeper into Sumerian and found the tablets that kind of agreed with it. That's why all this is connected to that Battle of Barbarossa.
Okay.
And then you also got Albert Pike that explains this a little further. Yeah, we could go into deeper about whatever, but he does drop knowledge. You got to listen to the people you don't like to get some knowledge sometime too.
Okay, and that's understandable. And from what I read, she did follow like the German and the, oh my goodness, and I know exactly where he's from, and it's escaping my mind.
Who?
Hitler, where he's originally
Austria.
That she had followed in those groups of people. You know what I mean?
That's why he related to her,
right?
And that's why she knew how to play him so well. That's why they sent her at him. The people that wanted the people that wanted Hitler to do what they wanted, the beck and calls.
I gotcha.
And that brings up to the Black Sun Society. You know, Black Hole Sun has begun. That type of society. It was an inner Earth society.
Yeah, I remember you bringing that up before. I never looked into it
This Black Sun Society wanted to. If you go back to the indigenous people here in America, talk about the ant people.
Okay.
And the tree of life, and once the roots started becoming green, they knew they could come back to the surface. That the ant people took them down and brought them to cities.
All right.
This is the story that the Black Sun Society believes. So they wanted to invade America, so they had the Japanese invade Hawaii, so they can take over America, so they can find the technology that was hidden here in America.
That is interesting to know. like I said, you hit on points that I'm not sure about. You know, I know you've talked to me about him before. Sometimes.
In one ear out the other ear.
Right.
You know.
So.
Yeah, I'm a
try
windbag. I can't help it.
Some days, yes.
Yeah.
But that's who you are, and.
Well, what the underground inner cities, this Black Sun Society, they know there isn't no inner Earth. What it is they understand that our core isn't lava. Our core is crystal, and the lava that flows around it, the reflection off the crystal makes it look like a sun, and then the heat from the lava makes it able to grow, and it's burning up all the ash and everything else, which produces nitrogen and oxygen and all this stuff. Now, it might not be the same levels of oxygen we're breathing up here, but it's enough for plants to grow.
Okay, yeah.
It's enough for certain species to live in.
Okay.
So this is where the inner Earth, Arthea, Athera. I know how to spell it. Say it another word is a whole nother story. But that's where that comes from. In the Black Hole Sun, that's where that song comes from. Is he did a deep dive into this stuff after listening to Albert Pike, and he was amazed, and he tried to connect the dots himself. Some say it's a whatever people society initiation, and they're bringing it to the light and all that Lucifer stuff. But that's not it. If you really understood, Lucifer and the devil are two different people. Lucifer was the light bringer, the person that brought knowledge to people. The devil is who you are when you're living backwards. See, just spell lived backwards and you got devil. There you go. End of story. That's what a devil. You're a devil if you lived wrong in your life. You're a dog as you're living wrong in your life. You're a god if you live right after you're alive. And as you're alive, you strive to be God-like, which means you get better and strive for perfection every day. But we're not in church right now, even though that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, we don't need to go to church right now.
So World War II, we're going to wrap this up. I know we hit on the little conspiracy, but the conspiracy is half true, half right. Because, like I said, the CIA, as well as what they learned from Hitler, was propaganda. So we can tell you a little bit about the truth and then fantasize it a whole bunch. So any smart person will pick holes in it,
right,
and just stick on them hole pickings instead of hearing the truth in it.
Right.
So it's been Knobbly with the pondering time, and
Smurfy. We'll see you next time.
No. Enjoy. Smile.
Have fun.
Wait, hey.